Yeah, I know what you're thinking. You can get a job in the Middle East simply by trying or by magic, through others, or by fluke. Remember that competition is everywhere. Some here, some there, but bam! Machedo is the best.
Hi there, Machedo. Speaking from Machedo.com. Who's Machedo and Think Personal Branding. The date is 3rd April 2018. Time right now is 1:06 in the afternoon. All right, just thought I'd share with you 10 points on the stuff that people don't talk about, relationships and marriages, and what I feel is exceptionally important. It is the ugly side, the dirty little secret that people don't talk about, and how they can actually either make or break your relationship. So these are the 10 points. The first one that people don't talk about, okay, that they really don't talk about is money. I think money should be given a lot of importance to. Now, I'm pretty sure you would have heard people say, no, it's understanding, it's love between another, it's patience, it's all that is fine, agreed, okay. But end of the day, ask yourself, if you don't have a job, let's say you don't have a job, your partner doesn't have a job, what do you do then? Let's say you have a mortgage to pay, you have 2 credit cards to pay, you have a loan to pay, what do you do then? Why do you think people, in most of the Asian countries or some other, the husband is working one place, the wife is working in another place, the child is with the parent some other place? Why? Why do people have to be away from each other? Why do you have couples working three jobs just to make ends meet? And by the time they come home, they are so dead tired. They're pretty, completely, spent. And why do you think? Because they hardly spend time with each other. The husband is spending time with another lady in the office. The wife is spending more time with some other guy in the office. Why do you think these cracks take place? Let's say, for example, the wife is pregnant, or the husband, let's say, has to be hospitalized. Where do you get this money from? So money causes a really, really big impact in a relationship or a marriage. So without money, I would say, you're talking of a lot of complications. So the first one is money. Without a doubt, money is a very, very important factor. Okay. The second point is the dark side. Now, when you fall in love, the guy dresses up amazing. The girl puts on makeup. She looks hot. The guy has 6-pack abs. The girl looks pretty incredible with her, youthfulness. But as time progresses, the guy becomes old and grumpy. The girl stops trying to look attractive for the guy. They become normal. So what about the dark side? The dark side is bits about, like, let's say, how does he act when he gets a temper? How does she behave when she's stressed out? When they have a fight or disagreement, what do they do? Let's say, what are the addictions that the guy has or the girl has? What are the vices that they have which they don't share? If you both had to go through a divorce, how would each partner react? This is the dark side that people don't actually think about. And this is what actually destroys relationships. Why do you think when they get married, it's so romantic, it's so nice, but when they get divorced, you see the ugly side? Out of the 3 relationships I've had, even though it was a divorce, it didn't end in a very bitter fashion. It didn't have they suing each other, putting a court case. I know my friend who's a doctor. His wife has put around 13 court cases on him, sued him for millions. And mind you, I know him very well. He's a gem of a human being. I've known him personally. He has not lifted a finger against anyone, especially her. He's loved and taken care of her. But because he wanted a divorce, it was not working out. She has gone berserk and she's literally destroying his life. So you need to focus on the dark side. Let's say, for example, one of the partners cheats on the other. How does the partner react? Let's say you had a big fight. Does the partner start screaming, shouting, hurling profanities, throwing things around? I've seen videos on Facebook where the girl, because the guy has cheated on her, she has broken his car, his dashboard, gone to his office, destroyed his office. So much of shit. So you need to figure out the dark side. And I think that really should be a determining factor in choosing a relationship. Okay. The third point that people don't talk about is the ego. I'll tell you this, a lot of relationships have ended because of an ego. Now, when, for example, me and my wife, when I get angry, I scream and shout. Okay, that's the maximum I do. I just shout. And I can be really irritating. Now, I'm thankful that my wife is very humble. She just keeps quiet. She cries, but she doesn't show me a temper tantrum, nothing. So I have a massive ego. Okay, that's how I am. My wife doesn't have an ego at all. And that is what has helped our relationship become even better. Now, if you have two partners who have equally a very big, strong ego and you fight, then you both don't talk to each other for days or months or weeks. With the ego, so many things can break off. I've known people who, because of their ego has got hurt, they've exacted their pound of revenge. So I think an ego is one thing that people don't think about. They don't look into it, and this can really make or break a relationship. Point number 4 is I think it comes down to communication. And not communicating as in talking like friends, but communicating the ugly side. When I had to select my wife, I went through the website of iCupid, and I had these interview-based questions that I asked everyone, and it refined itself. So some of the tough questions was, if I cheat on you, what will be your response? If I wanted to get a divorce, what would you do? If things are not working out, how do we go about? I will not pay you any money. What do you do? Would you be willing to work? So I asked them really uncomfortable questions, really, really uncomfortable. I told them, you're not allowed to use your phone without my permission. Tough stuff, like most of them which were not realistic, but I wanted to see their reaction. Let's say we have a kid, we get a divorce, what do you do? So the reason I asked these difficult and tough questions is because I wanted to see how is the person's thinking, how is the person's mentality, what do they say? Like, for example, I even told her, why don't you ask me tough questions as well? So they asked me questions like, if I cheat on you, what would you do? I answered it. I said, fine, if you cheat on me, that means you're not happy and you're happy with someone else, so you might as well go. I'm not going to hurt you, harm you. If you want a divorce, fine, we get a divorce, because if you're not in love, what's the point? Then if things are not working out, fine. And if they say, I want to keep the baby, fine, keep the baby. You can keep the baby. I don't mind. I don't have any problem. So we had these tough questions. And for example, she said, if I want you to focus on me and not your work, I'd say, I don't want the relationship. So you need to have this communication where you discuss the ugly, bad stuff, and what the rules are, what the regulations are, what can make or break the relationship. Point number 5, I think most of the relationships don't discuss, is the weaknesses. I have a weakness for sex. I have not like sex as go and have sex with everyone. It's just I like cyber sex, chatting about sex. I like watching porn. I enjoy when the girl takes care of me. That is in terms of sex. In terms of the other areas of weakness, I have a massive ego. I love attention. I am very competitive, so I spend a lot of money on things that appeal to me, like gaming or, let's say, being online. So I have let my wife know exactly what my weaknesses are, and I asked her what her weaknesses were. So I think in most of the relationships, they don't discuss this. They don't say, like, I like sex, or I want you to take care of me in sex, or you need to be submissive. So you need to discuss what your weaknesses are. For me, there were some weaknesses that I was totally very clear about that I would not accept. For example, smoking, drinking, drugs, or having friends, chatting, being addicted to social media, because I didn't want someone who was chatting with somebody else, staying in my house, and I don't know who they're chatting with. So I had to trust the person, because obviously I got cheated of $100,000. I didn't want it to happen again. So I was pretty clear about what weaknesses I could accept, what weaknesses I could not. One of them is having a massive ego. I wouldn't want the female to boss over me, shout over me, disrespect me. So these were some of my weaknesses, and the weaknesses I could accept. So I think you need to be very clear on the weaknesses. Point number 6 is, when there is a problem, how does your partner deal with it? Let's say you have had a fight, or the relationship is not working out, or your partner's cheated on you. How does a partner actually behave? Like I told you, some people break stuff, some people harm each other physically, some people, they leave the house and they go for 1 month, 2 months. So how does a person behave when a challenge or problem takes place? Let's say, for example, you lose your job, you can't work for 2 years and your partner has to take care of you, or you're not able to provide the good things in life. How does your partner behave? So it's very important to understand, how does your partner deal with these problems, and how do you deal with these problems, okay? Point number 7, I think, which people don't discuss, is your goals. My third relationship kind of broke off because my partner had goals to move to the western part of the world. I had goals to move to the eastern part of the world. So when you have two goals that move in two totally different directions, the relationship can't survive unless one of them sacrifices. And given the fact that I was hardcore dedicated to my brand, I was never going to leave it. Like, let's say, for instance, now, even with this wife, I've told her the most important thing for me is my brand, my online work. I'm prepared to leave you, leave the child, leave everyone, just for what I'm passionate about. So she knows that very clearly. So she's never going to ask me to leave my work. So I think that also comes in crystal clear communication. So you need to be very clear with your goals. Now, see, I know that you may not like what I have to say, that, oh, he is giving more importance to his work than his child. Here's the thing. If you say that your wife is most important, then why are you spending more time in the office? You should spend more time with your wife. If you say that your child is most important, you should not be spending time in the office or with your friends. You should be spending time with your child. So, and then you say, oh, but money is important. Then money is your priority. It has to be very clear. You should know your goals. You should be very true to yourself. Point number 8, I think, which people don't talk about, is sex. Sex plays a vital role. And when you're talking about sex, what specifically in terms of sex? Do you like your partner giving you a blowjob or getting down on you? You want anal sex? Do you want threesome? These things, do you want your partner to swallow? I think sex is very, very important, and you have to discuss about sex. And many people say, girl, how can you discuss this? It's very important. I have spoken to my partner. I've asked my partner what my partner wants. I've told my partner what I can do, cannot do, and I've told her what I want. And, so it has to be very explicit. It has to be very, very explicit. What you want, do not want, what you expect, what you don't expect. And speaking of expectation, point number 9 is the expectations. What do you expect? In my case, I expected my wife to be a submissive housewife who would support me and be a support function, would not demand anything other than being loved. That's what I expected. My wife expected a man who would be loyal and faithful to her, who would be in the house and not drink, smoke, do drugs, abuse her, and go with other women. So I think our expectations met perfectly. So tomorrow, if I tell my wife, sleep on the ground, she'll sleep on the ground. Sleep with no AC, she'll sleep with no AC. I'll tell her, I'm not going to spend any money on you for 1 year. She's not going to ask me anything. So our expectations were very clear. And she knows that I'm going to give importance to my work. I'm addicted to my brand. I love myself. So she knows that very, very clearly. So I think it's very clear not to please each other, but to be very explicit about the expectations. And last, if not the least, I think one thing which people really don't pay attention is the family. Trust me when I say this, the family plays a very important role. The upbringing of a person, the environmental factors, the friends, they define a person's character. So you need to figure out who are your partner's friends, how are your partner's family members. So if the family members are totally fucked up and they behave paranoid, chances are the partner will also be the same, because after all, the mother and father have a very strong influence. Or the friends. So if the person hangs around with smokers, drinkers, drug addicts, or womanizers, or doing crazy stuff, your partners most probably have those common characteristics. It's very rare that you have a partner who hangs around with drug dealers or alcoholics or smokers, or they go around sleeping with prostitutes, and this person remains a vegetarian who is spiritual in nature and praying to God. That's a whole lot of bull crap. It's very rare you get such. I have not met anyone who is very holy but has friends who are totally the most disgusting human beings on the planet, because values match, interests match, birds of the feather flock together. So these are the 10 points. Money, the dark side, the ego, being very crystal clear with your communication, discussing weaknesses, how do you deal with problems, bit my tongue. What are your common goals, your sexual requirements, the expectations you have of each other, and finally, the family members. So I hope these points give you some insight into what goes into making or breaking a relationship or marriage. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. And this is me signing off. Thank you very much. Goodbye.